Hi, sixth graders. Today's reading lesson is in your packet. It is on page 14. Um, it's about plot. I'm sure Miss Allen already went over about what plot is, and also you've had it in class, weekly doing different stories. Okay, so it's just the plot of the story is what makes up the story. It's all the events that happen in the story is the plot. And then what happens is, and we talked about this before, is that there's usually a conflict in every story, some kind of a conflict, and struggle with the main character tries to overcome. And then when we get to the end, we have a resolution or the end of the conflict. Okay? All right, so Miss Allen went through all of this with this story. And so we're going to do Alma's first cattle drive. Okay? And that starts on page 15. I'm going to read this to you. It says, blinding lightning flashed across the sky, followed by deafening thunder and driving rain. Alma had grown up listening to her father's astounding stories of cattle drives. She had always wanted to join in, but her father told her she just wasn't ready. Now he was finally giving her the chance to prove to him that she would be more help than trouble on the trail. This was her first cattle drive, and the weather was Alma's first challenge. When they reached the river, Alma instantly noticed that the water was dangerously high. When the cattle began to cross at a shallow spot, Alma was the only one to notice a calf getting swept up in the current. Alma charged into the water and stopped her horse downstream from the calf to keep it from losing its footing. All right, so it was a challenge enough that Alma was going to go on her first cattle drive. She was really nervous because she wanted to do a really good job because she wanted her dad to be proud of her. So it would have been one thing if this was just an easy cattle drive and there were no other problems, but she had a problem with the weather. So, and possibly losing some of the calves. So, that's the plot is building from that. Okay, so how does the story's plot build to a climax? One plot episode leads to the next until Alma must act. This critical moment is the climax. All right, so here's your plot diagram. So the first thing that happens is Alma goes on her first cattle drive. Okay, but a terrible storm has made it dangerous. Okay. Alma struggles to prove herself to her father and keep the animals on the cattle drive safe. All right, so what is the rising action there? What else happens that leads toward the climax? Okay, so she was the only one that noticed that the water was getting high and that the cattle, that one of the calf was getting swept up in the current. So let's take a look at what we can put into, hold on, rising action. So this is, the weather's one thing, but now it's getting even worse because the water's getting high. Okay, so the water, and it's right up here in this very beginning of the second paragraph, was getting high, and a calf was about to be swept away. Okay? All right, and so the climax here in this part of the story is that Alma charged into the water and stopped her horse to keep. All right, so she went ahead of the calf, so she stopped her horse downstream, I guess, ahead of the calf. Oops. From the calf to keep it from losing its footing. Okay? All right. So there's our first part of our diagram. Okay? All right. Let's move on. I have to erase this to move my page up. All right. So now, as you read the story's ending, think about its resolution or how Alma's conflict is solved. Okay? So remember, she wants to prove herself to her father, because if she doesn't show her dad that she can do a good job with this, who knows when he'll take her on another cattle drive again, right? So she has to prove to him that she can do a good job. All right, so here it says, continue reading Alma's first cattle drive. Use the close reading and the hint to help you answer the question. Okay, so this close reading box, let's look at that. On this page here, Alma's quest to prove herself is challenged when the weather creates a dangerous situation for the cattle. Find and underline the sentence that shows the end result of Alma's efforts. And then the final part of the story includes the resolution. Remember that the main character's problems are usually solved at this point. So remember, her problem ultimately is that her dad be proud of her and see that she's a valuable member of the team. So let's continue. Alma stayed there in the stinging rain, her horse breathing hard beneath her. She was cold and hungry, but she kept her horse on the edge of the shallow riverbank until each animal had safely passed. When she finally rode ashore, her father waved to get Alma's attention. He paused for just a moment to tip his hat to her before they continued. Alma knew then that she had proven herself to be a valuable member of the team. All right, so remember what the conflict was, what her goal was to do a good job and have her dad approve of her going on this cattle drive, because up here it says he felt that she wasn't ready, and now he was finally giving her the chance to prove to him that she would be more help than trouble on the trail. All right, so let's look at which sentence here resolves that conflict or proves that she was able to make her dad proud. A, she was cold and hungry, but she kept her horse on the edge of the shallow riverbank until each animal had safely passed. B, Alma stayed there in the stinging rain, her horse breathing hard beneath her. C, when she finally rode ashore, her father waved to get Alma's attention. D, Alma knew then that she had proven herself to be a valuable member of the team. So which of those sentences resolves the conflict of proving to her dad that she was up to the task of doing cattle drives? All right, you go ahead and circle that. And then down here, it says show your thing and explain how you could tell which choice was the resolution. Okay, we just talked about it. So you just take what we talked about and put it in there. How the choice you make shows that that was the resolution of the story. All right? All right, that is it for reading. We are going to move on to writing now. Let me pause this for a minute so I can bring up the writing. All right, our writing lesson today is reflexive. Hold on. Whoops. Let me go back. All right, your writing lesson today is on reflexive and intensive pronouns. I know Miss Allen already went through all of this with you, so we're going to go on to the independent practice. I will read these to you and then you will answer them, okay? All right, so for numbers 1 to 3, which pronoun should replace the underlined pronoun to make the sentence correct? 1. When the team lost the game, the players blamed themselves. Whoops. When the team lost the game, the players blamed, it says ourselves. Just out of force of habit, I knew which one belonged there. All right, so I gave you the first one. When the team lost the game, the players blamed themselves, not ourselves, themselves. Okay? All right, so let me go ahead. All right, that's my only hint, guys. I can't give you all the answers here. All right, number 2. The pitcher itself said that he had not pitched his best game. All right, so the pitcher is a person, so it wouldn't be itself. And so here are your choices. A, myself. B, himself. C, yourself. D, themselves. All right, so there's your hint. It's a he and it's one pitcher. All right, so you circle that. And let's go on to number 3. Number 3 says, Alonzo and myself agreed that the other team had simply played better. Okay, one thing I do with these, if you're not sure, take out the Alonzo for just a minute. Whoops. And then you can see, if you just put these in, you'll see what I mean. So myself agreed that the other team had simply played better. I agreed that this other team simply played better. Me agreed that the other team had simply played better. Himself agreed that the other team had simply played better. Ourselves agreed that the other team had simply played better. So that will help you, because whatever you pick, whatever one you pick that makes sense this way will also make sense once you put Alonzo back in there. All right, I hope that makes sense. All right, number 4. Mayor Ramirez is a great fan and attends every single game. Wait a minute, let's see if the directions are different on this one. Hold on. What does it say? For number 4, which revision uses it? Okay. All right, so Mayor Ramirez is a great fan and attends every single game. All right, A, herself, Mayor Ramirez, is a great fan and attends every single game. B, Mayor Ramirez themselves is a great fan and attends every single game. C, Mayor Ramirez is a great fan itself and attends every single game. D, Mayor Ramirez herself is a great fan and attends every single game. All right, so which one of those works? And you circle that, and then we are finished today. All right, see you tomorrow.